like me, just say, are you by chance a PIO?
Sure.
So that briefing lasts about 15-20 minutes.
Sure.
And I can explain that briefing to you now.
Sure.
So you have a better idea.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's have you stand about, that's too close. Probably about like 5 steps back. Let's see what that.
Make sure he doesn't have the sun in his face.
Actually, a little bit forward, that's fine. There you go. Is that good for you?
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Excited?
Yeah, put him on
It
one
will
side.
be. Video and still.
These are 2 call takers.
Okay.
I want to keep them here tomorrow. I'm going to send them out to go look at some fire stuff.
Tonight?
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
treat-
Another
So-
just came in from Joshua.
Well, we'll just do
What's
both.
Okay. So when I'm done, I'll come over and say hello.
It's picking
Is that
it up.
okay?
Yes.
Okay.
You're fine. Alright. Gosh. Okay, let's put this.
Can I close it?
Yeah, that's fine. I'll pick it up. Okay, so the briefing tomorrow morning. It happens at 7 a.m.
Yep.
Alright, great. What do you guys go over in your briefing?
Well, the briefing is a formal brief on what the day's activities look like, and not in any particular order. But it start off by the plant's section chief, and he gives an introduction. It's a formal thing, so folks are going to have to silence their phones. There's not any talking. Anybody who has a radio has to turn the radio down so everybody can hear.
Okay.
A lot of the things that are covered would be, as an example, the meteorologist will get up and he'll talk about the day's weather.
Okay.
Weather affects fire behavior, right? So any winds that are projected for that day, the crews that are going out on the line need to be made aware of it. And I'm going to back up for just a moment in that the people that are in attendance of this briefing are the men and women that are going to go out on the line
Sure.
for that 24-hour operational period.
Okay.
They will essentially be replacing the men and women that are out there today.
Okay. So if you want to backtrack a little bit further, do you want to give us your name and then what your role is within the department?
My name is Joshua Rubenstein. I'm a captain, public information officer for CAL FIRE on this incident.
Okay, and then where are we right now?
We are at the Sonoma County Fairgrounds in Santa Rosa, California.
All right. And then how many men and women firefighters do you have here?
On this incident, we're right around 2,900, with more coming in. And to give you a sense of perspective, 3.5, 4 days ago, we had about 500 or 600.
Why so many in the last couple of days?
Because of the magnitude of this fire. This is a historic fire.
Okay.
The damage is overwhelming. The loss of life is staggering.
Yep.
The loss of personal property is
Climbing.
daunting.
Are you talking about the Nuns fire or the Tubbs fire? Just all.
Well, they were individual fires, and the strategy at some point in time on some incidents is to make it into what's called a complex, because they'll bring in an incident management team and an incident management team to run a particular fire at some point in time because of span of control issues. They'll go ahead and combine a couple of fires, and one incident management team will oversee the operation of all 4 of those fires, and they'll make it into what's called a complex.
Okay. So they're gonna put them all together, or they're gonna keep them separate?
They're separate fires.
Okay.
And
But it's
the
all
name
under.
of this, instead of the Tubbs Inso, as an example, I was ordered as a public information officer for the Tubbs fire.
Okay.
After I got here, they made it a complex, and that complex
Wow.
name is now the Central Sonoma Complex.
Got it. Okay. All right. So you have 29 firefighters.
2,900.
2,900. Sorry. Thank you. 2,900 forest fires, and then what? How many military servicemen are here? Do you know?
Well, I can't speak to the exact number, but I can tell you that approximately, I believe, there are thousands of National Guard members that have been mobilized to assist with the firefighting efforts in Northern California. Please keep in mind that there are 16 fires going on in Northern California right now.
Okay.
This is a priority fire. They're rated or scored by the powers to be, and based upon that score identifies the priority based upon the needs of the incident.
Okay.
When you take in loss of life and the loss of property like we have here, it becomes a priority fire.
And then how many evacuees do you have here? You know,
At this particular camp, I'm not really sure. However, there were 25,000 evacuees in total in the surrounding communities.
total. Okay. All right, and then so let's go back to tomorrow morning.
Okay.
So each day, you go out from 7 a.m. until roughly how long?
There are 24-hour operational periods.
Okay, so
On
there's a
this
morning
specific
and a-
incident,
yeah.
CAL FIRE typically runs a 24-hour operational period.
Okay.
Now that doesn't mean that's what it is when the fire first breaks out. The men and women of the Santa Rosa Fire Department and the surrounding agencies, I know for a fact, work 36 plus hours without sleep because they were resource depleted.
Gotcha. Okay. All right, and so then on a typical morning briefing, what do you guys go over?
So like I mentioned, the plan section chief, there's a hierarchy that's established. You have the incident commander, and he is the individual in overall charge of the incident.
Sure.
And he has what's called a command and general staff. He has a public information officer, he has a liaison, and a safety officer. And
Sure.
then you have folks that work in operations, planning, logistics, etc. They design the plan that the men and women that are attending briefing are going to follow for that operational period. It's actually established the day prior.
Okay.
Can things change? Absolutely.
Yeah.
So some of the things that are discussed are, like I mentioned, weather. Weather plays a factor in regards to fire behavior. So the fuels in this area are very, very dry. Even though the temperatures have been modest, 65, 70, 75 degrees, the fuels are still very, very dry, and the relative humidity is very, very low.
Okay.
That in conjunction with the topography and the terrain and the wind creates an environment where you could have significant fire behavior,
Okay.
which we've seen.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So we got that covered. I wanted to get closer to the map and have you point out what